Hi, I'm Marty Nemco. Normally I talk about career and life stuff, but I've got a fairly serious hobby called, would you believe, rose hybridizing. I create new varieties of roses. Don't worry, for you good liberals, it's not genetically modified organisms or any of that. I do it the old Mendelian way. I will take the pollen from one variety and put it on the female portion of the other variety, its plant sex, and voila. I'll demonstrate that a little later, but it's more fun first to show you what I have wrought. So these are my creations. I had 500 seedlings this year. This guy is great because the flower is pretty nice, pretty gorgeous, beautiful classic rose form. You know, really nice color like that. It's pretty surreal, but it's got mildew, so it may or may not be commercially introducible. See mildew, let me show you mildew. It's ugly. Fungus among us. Here, see that? That's fungus among us. Anyway, but it's too beautiful and it produces too many of these flowers for me to dump it, so it's here. Let me show you a few more. So this one, I'll hold it in the, like doing a commercial, you know how they have the babes who are holding the thing in front? Well, here is one that's beautiful bicolor, and this is one that's really beautiful, and it doesn't get disease. Look how nice. It's compact. For little old ladies, it's perfect because it can go in a window box, right? And it got lots of flowers, and it's all great, and so whenever I find one that's good, I put these little gold toothpicks in as a sign that it's good. These have been graduated. These are graduated. They have a PhD. No, they've been graduated to a 1 gallon instead of little sticking them in the ground so they can do better. So there's that. Then there's this one, classic kind of standard color. Yeah, but look how compact. Look at the perfect rose form, right? So it's nice, perfect again for window boxes or whatever like that. These were graduated, but they're going into the funeral home. They're going to get tossed. Look how ugly that turned out to be. Bye. This one looked pretty damn good, but now it's a little open, but I'm keeping it. Look how nice bud that is. That's perfect. No disease. We're going to keep watching that. Into the tank. And you have to be ruthless because I'm doing this in my backyard. So you do 500 seedlings a year. You can't. It would overwhelm my life. So I am ruthless. I send them to the Nazi concentration camp and they get rid of them. They go into the gas chamber and all of that. And so I only keep a few that are worthy. And by November, I will probably have maybe 4 or 5 left that I will keep for a second season. And then if they do well in the second season, then I will send them to a big rose company for test and possible commercial introduction. I got 2 on the market. This is way too open. It used to be gorgeous, but it flies open. It looked gorgeous in the bud for one day, and then it just opened like a cabbage. This is a nice pink and white bicolor. Again, you look for something that's a little unique, but look at that perfect form. Look at no disease, and I never spray. I'm some like wild environmentalist. I just know that who in the world has time to spray? We got more important things to do than spray, let alone the environmental thing. So all my roses are what I call no spray roses. I trademarked the name called Beauties Roses, Veaute's, Beauties, the pun? All right. So that's that. But now it's time to show you plant sex. What's unusual about, people don't realize that plants have both the male and female in the same plant. They're kind of not transgender, they're cross-gender. They got it all in one package. They're pansexual. You don't want them to pollinate themselves. So they've got the pollen, which is like the sperm, and they've got the uterus, the vagina, they got all that in there in one place. But if you let the pollen pollinate itself, you've got incest. And usually, what happens with incest, it usually comes out weird, like some Appalachian thing. So what we want to do is, we want to emasculate, literally, take away the masculine part, get rid of the pollen from one variety, the sperm, and then put the pollen of some other variety onto the female. So watch what I do. It's really not complicated. We'll take this flower. It's like we take off its clothing. Can do it in 1 second. I've now removed the clothing. And now we have, you see this yellow stuff? These are the pollen sacs. They're like sacs that hold the sperm. You want to take it off before the sacs open and self-pollinate. So I'm taking that off. And now there's no more pollen for it to self-pollinate, no incest. But the middle part is the female. So we take this sperm from another variety. I have different varieties here. And I took the pollen sacs like I just did and put it in a jar. And it needs another day or so for the pollen sacs to open up and release the pollen, the sperm. Then I simply take my finger, and I don't know if you can see the yellow stuff? Those are sperm. And then plant sex, I simply take it and gently brush that onto the female. So now we have this sperm from this variety over there merged with this female, and it will now make babies. This is actually a tube, way too small to see. But the sperm goes down underneath, and eventually that's the ovary. That's where they actually merge, the sperm and the egg, and they grow, and it grows, and there are seeds. Each one is like you have children, multiple children, you have multiple seeds growing. Each is like a separate genetically unique child. And every year I develop like 2,000 of these seeds. I plant them. Actually, you have to simulate winter. We're here in California, so I stick the seeds in the refrigerator for 6 weeks to make it seem like it's the winter. I put them in 10% Clorox solution so they don't rot. And then in January, I plant them in this bed. And otherwise, I have a series of flats down here. And I end up with about 500 seedlings because I only get about 25% germination. So if I have 2,000 seeds, I might have 500 seedlings. And then I'm watching them like a hawk. And again, I'm being ruthless. I'm getting rid of as many as possible. And then by this time, mid-June, I have got a dozen or two. And by November, maybe 3 or 4. And they keep growing. And that, I will say, is the world's shortest course in rose hybridizing, a little known hobby. But it is very psychologically, emotionally rewarding. Because you do see the miracle of you're creating new things, the miracle of growth. You can have it reflect your values. I'm a moderate environmentalist, not crazy. And so it enables me to create roses that don't need to be sprayed, that grandma, who can't dig deep, these are all miniatures. So they can be grown in a small space, in a window box, along a pathway or whatever. And I get to see such beauty, and they're all genetically unique. It's exciting to see 500 seedlings come up every year, and it's free. It costs me almost nothing to do this hobby. And frankly, I get a check every year from royalties for the few commercial varieties I have. And there's always hope for something new and better. And it's low stress. There's no rush. I tend to be a stressed person by nature. And by being out here in nature, doing something simple and pleasant that has nobody can criticize me for doing this. It's a lovely, restorative, unusual hobby and a way to be distinctive. So if you might want to do it, I encourage you to start by just taking your favorite couple of rose varieties and hybridizing, as I've done. I guess I want to tell you one other thing. How do you keep track of all this stuff? I simply use these. These are basically different colored toothpicks. And when I find a good one, I put a gold one in there. When I put, and I have a bad one, I put a black one in there because I want to wash it a little more and get rid of it. So you don't need a lot of record keeping. You can keep it simple or as complex as you want this software. But in any case, I wanted to share that, one of my passions, with you. Anyway, thank you for watching. This is longer than I expected. I'm Marty Nemko.